Welcome to QAValidation.com. So in our Java for QA video series, the next topic is Java conditions and loops. So we'll see one by one how is the conditions work in Java and then the loops. Okay. So let's look into the first picture in this on the left hand side, the Java conditions. So what it says, so the control will come into the condition and it will check if that condition is true or false. Okay. So if it is true, then it will execute a particular code block, and if it is false, then it will execute another code block. So depending on the true and false. So we have seen the same scenario in the conditional operator where you have to give a condition and then question mark and then true means the first part will execute, and then if that condition is false, then the next part will be executed, or the second part. Okay, because there are only two parts. Okay, so it is the same way with the conditions in the Java. Okay, so we have two things to work with conditions, that is if condition and else condition. Okay, so we will see one by one and how that works. Okay, so let's flip to Eclipse. So here let me create one class and let me give if else. Okay, conditions. Okay, so how it works is, so let's say that int a equal to, let's say, 34. Okay, and here what I am going to do, I'll put a if condition. So I need to check something, or I need to verify the a or compare it with something else. Okay, so that we can get the condition true or false, and then with respect to the true and false we will get the output. Okay, so a less than, let's say, 90. Okay, okay, so now what it says here, now you can see here a. Now what is the value of a here? That is 34. So I'm putting a condition that if 34 is less than 90 or not. Yes, it is true. Then what you can print here that a is less than 90 something. Okay, so now let's execute that. So you can see here a is less than 90 because the condition is true here. Okay, so now let me put another condition here. Okay, so you can see I put that if the another print statement after the if condition. So now there are two print statements. One is inside the if and another is the outside if. So the outside if will execute always because the control will go to the eighth line. Okay, it will check the condition if a is less than 90 or not. If the condition is true, then it will print, and then it will move out of that if condition and it will continue the execution as usual. Okay, so that is the thing. So let me quickly run this. So you can see here a is less than 90 and I execute always. Okay, but let's put this way, let's change it to 94. Okay, so now what is the condition? If 94 is less than 90, which is false, so let's see how it prints. So you can see the a is less than 90 didn't print here because the condition become false. Okay, so the concept or the logic behind the if condition is that if a condition is true, then execute the block inside the if. Okay, so see here I put only one line. I can print another line as well. So let's say that I will make it as a equal to a plus. So I can do like this also. Okay, I can do like this also. So now in this scenario, so what will happen, the ninth and 10th line will execute if the condition is true. Okay, so let's make this as only 9 and see this one how it prints. Okay, so a is always less than, a is less than 90. Okay, so now if I print the a value, so let's say just print a. So I can just make it value of a is, okay, so I can concatenate that. Now let's print this. Okay, so a is less than 90. Yes, it is less than 90, and the value of a is 19. A actual value is 9, but after execution of the if condition, it added 10, so it become 19. And the 12th and 13th line will always execute as usual only. Okay, so this is about if condition. But there are certain scenarios where you need to execute what if that condition is false. You need to execute something, right? Because the 13 and 14 line will print irrespective of your if condition true or false. But there are situations where we want to print something if the condition is false, so that we need to check it here. So let's see a scenario else. So here I can say, what can I say here? So if a is less than 90, so I can say that a is greater than, because if that condition is not true, then this will become the this should be the another option, right? So a is greater than 90. Okay, let me put this way. So now let's see. Okay, now let me make that if condition false and see what happens. Okay, so a is greater than 90. Why? Because if 94 is less than 90, which is false, so it will not even add it as well. Okay, so that the 10th line also will not execute that. So if condition is false, then it will go to the else condition. Now else condition, what could be the else condition? Simple thing, that a should be greater than 90. Or if I mean if that if condition is false, then it will definitely execute the else condition. But there will be a situation where you want to print that else with a condition again, because when I write else, I'm not writing any else condition, I just written else. So if is not executing, then just directly execute that else. Okay, I'll change this completely, so let me erase this part, or okay, so let's take a scenario in this way. Okay, so if a is greater than 0, then I can say a is a positive number. Okay, a is a positive number. Okay, now, okay, so there are situations where always it wouldn't be. So now else, if I say here SYSO, and then if I say here a is a negative number. Okay, so this isn't always true. Why? Because see, if what if I make it as 0? Let's say, what if I make it as 0? So in this scenario, nothing will be executing here, because it's a wrong output, because 0 cannot be a positive or a negative number. It's just a number only. Okay, so I need to modify this a little bit. So in that scenario, what I can say, else if a is less than 0, then don't print okay, print it as a negative number. Okay, so now let's run this. See here, it didn't execute the if and else condition, neither of them executed. Why? Because if condition is false, and even else condition is also false here. Okay, so what I need to do here, I need to write another condition there. Okay, so to write there, I need to put another. Okay, here what I can say, else, and directly I can print this one. Okay, so what I can say, a value is 0, a is, or value of a is 0, already it is there. Okay, okay, so let me execute this one. Okay, so value of a is 0 and then I execute always. Now here you can see another scenario. So here when I'm not giving any opening and closing bracket, it will execute only the first line. Okay, and the rest lines will always execute irrespective of your else is false or true. Okay, so that way it will work. So I can leave as it is, or else I can put here like this as well to make it more what you call uh, to put a boundary on that. Okay, even I can put here another condition as well. So you can write as many as if else conditions. So I can write even this one as well. Okay, so this will also work here. So you can say value of a is 0. Okay, so if I put now all the combinations, it will work here. So you can see a is a positive number. Now if I make it as a negative, then it should say that a is a negative number. So that way it will work. So you can even put if condition and again another if condition. So kind of a nested. So here what I did, if else and I put a if. So it's a nested if else conditions I can put. Okay. So depending on your situations, you can just use that if else conditions. But the simple logic is that if a condition is true, then execute the block inside the if condition. If it is false, then execute the else condition. Now, in else, if there is a if condition, then again, depending on that if condition, else will execute. As simple as that. Okay. So that's all about your if else condition. Okay, so now the next thing is that your loops. Now this if is basically a hard code. So if this is true, then execute that. But there are some situations where you want to continuously check the condition and do some action in that. So in that scenario, we will use kind of loop. So a basic example of the loop, if somebody will say you that print 1 to 10 number. Okay, so how do you print? Each time you can't say system dot out dot println one, system dot println two, three, four, like that. So 10 times you need not to write that. So to make it in a simpler way, the Java gives an option that is called as a loops. Okay, again loops are basically three types. One is your while loop, then your do while, and another is for loop. Again, in for loop, we have two types that we will discuss in later point of time. Okay, so let me create a class for the while and do while loop. Okay, so I will say while loop. Okay, so here I can say int. Again, I will say okay, this time num equal to let's say 10. Okay, now if somebody will say you that you print the numbers that is less than 10 but up to your 1, up to 1. Okay, so in that scenario, how the while loop works, let's see. So if num is less than equal to 1. Okay, so that scenario, or what I can, yeah, so in this scenario, so if num is greater than equal to, okay, greater than equal to, then print that num and what you can say num minus minus, because I need to decrement that, right? I need to perform some action, because if I won't decrement that, the num will be always greater than 1 only, and it will be an indefinite or infinite loop. It will go inside that, because some or other point you need to make that while condition false so that it can come out of that while loop. So now the logic of a while is that while again there should be a condition. If that condition is true, then print inside that. Okay, so first it will check if the while condition is true or not. If it is true, then execute the block or the lines that is written inside the block or inside the curly braces, or else come out of that loop. Okay, so now let's execute this. So you can see here it decremented up to 1, because now first time. Let's say that a 10 is greater than equal to 1. Yes, it is. Now it will decrement, so it will print the 10 and it will decrement. We have seen this num minus minus, how it works in our operators. Okay, and then so num minus minus, now the value become 9. Now 9 is greater than equal to 1. Yes, then print 9. The same way it will continue 8 times, and then let's see the condition of 1. Now while 1 is greater than equal to 1, yes, so because it is 1 equal to 1, so it will execute the inside lines. Now it printed 1. Now 1 minus minus, what is the value of num? It becomes 0. Now the condition, it will check again the condition. While 0 is greater than equal to 1, which is false. So it will come out of that loop and there is nothing to execute. So it printed up to 1 only. So the condition is that while the condition is true, print inside. Okay. And then leave it. So like that. Now there is another one is there, which is do while loop. Now here what you can say, to go inside the while loop or to go inside the while block, it should first check the condition. But whereas in your do while loop, it will first execute the lines and then it will check it. So let's see that how that works. Okay, so I'll do one thing here. Let's say that if num equal to 1, then print only. Okay, so here what I can say in this scenario, now let me comment this one. Okay, okay, now let's run this one. So here you can see it is not running anything because the while condition says that num equal to 1. Is num equal to 1? No. So it's not executing. But if you see here, but the same way what I will do, I'll make this one like this way. Now let's see how does it works. Okay. So now let's run this one. So you can see it first printed the value because it will not check the condition for the first time. It will, irrespective of the condition is true or false, the do what you call do block will execute that and then it will check the condition. So in this case it executed the 14th line, that is system.out.println num, which is 10. Then it subtracted a 10, then it executed while loop, or it is checking the while loop. While 10 equal to 1, no, so then it didn't again execute the do loop. So that is the difference. So to make that difference, I just changed a bit the logic. Okay, so while loop first check the condition and then execute. While in case of do, it will execute the do irrespective of the condition and then it will check the condition. So that is the difference between while and do while. Okay, so now the next thing is that your for loop. Okay, so for loop again there is a bit difference what it is. So here is the for loop. So first initialization. So you have to initialize something. So you have to take a variable and then assign it or initialize some value to that. Then depending on that value, you have to check a condition. Okay, if that is true, then execute something and then you have to give a increment or decrement on that. if it is uh, if it is true, then do all these things. If it is false, then come out of that for loop. Okay, so we'll see that one. So let me add a class. So I will say for loop. Okay, okay, so I need to initialize something. Okay, so before initializing, let me show you the syntax for the for loop. Okay, so here int I equal to 0. Okay, I'm initializing that. And the next thing is that I need to check a condition there. So let's say that I want to print from 0 to 10. Now what I can do here, I is less than equal to 10. Let's say that. Okay, and then what I say I plus plus because I need to increment that, right? So here what I can say here I. Okay, so let's see how is the output coming. So it printed in this way. Now how is this one is happening? So if condition is true, it will execute the code block and then it will go to the increment. So how is the flow? Let me show you. So initially, so I'm highlighting one by one, just observe it. So int I equal to 0. This will be for the first time only. So every time the I value should will not be initialized to 0. Okay, keep that in mind. So whenever the control will go to for loop, only for the first time the I value will become 0. That's it. And then it will execute the condition. What is the condition? 0 is less than equal to 10. Yes, it is true. Then print the value of 10. So from it went here, from here to condition. If condition is true, it will go here and then it will come to here. Okay. Now I plus plus, what is the value of I equal to 1. Now it will not go to again to this int I equal to 0. It will go here again. So the cycle first, second, third, fourth. Okay, fourth. After that it will directly go to here only. Okay, so like this it will be there. Now when the I equal to 10, 10 is less than equal to 10. Yes, it is true. Then it will print the value of 10 and then it goes to the 10 plus plus. Now what is the value of 10 plus plus? It is 11. Now it goes and checks if 11 is less than equal to 10. No, it is not. Then it came out of the loop because the condition is false. So that is all about your for loop. So now here I have done increment. You can even do a decrement operator also. So either one, either I plus plus or I minus minus. Okay, you can do that way. There is again another thing. So here one thing is that if I mention here already I equal to 0, I need not to write it here. So let's do this way. Okay, so here you can see. So what I did, I have initialized the I value before to the for loop only, because I told the initialization will be executed once only while the control is in the for loop. So let's execute and see how is the output is coming. So you can see it's printing 0 to 10. Okay, so here, so one thing we come to know that the initialization inside the for loop is an optional one. Okay, either you can initialize it inside that for block or else you can put it in the outside. Okay, so that's all about your for loop. Okay, so there is another type, that is for each. Now for each, what it does, so here it is straightforward in a, so for each is basically an it's using an array concept. So we will be coming to know in our next videos how the array structure and how it works, but for now I'll just show you to have a feel of the for each. Okay, so that we even we call it as a advanced for loop. Okay, so for that what I need to do, I need to comment all these things. Okay, so let's comment and quickly create an array. So now let's see how an array is created. Okay, and here what I can do, give some values here. Okay, okay, now this is an array. Now let's see if I want to print individually each of the item. So for that what I can do, here the for loop is bit different. I'll show you that. Int I, so int I is a single variable, but where I'm putting a closing and opening bracket, square bracket in a, it means that it's collection of integers, that is nothing but your array. So int I means one variable of a complete a. Okay, so in that, then syso print the value I. Okay, so now what it is doing, let's see if it is printing or not. Okay, so it prints individually. Now understand that when I say for int I means one item from a is a collection, so from collection pick one by one and print it. So that is what you call, this is from a collection you are taking it is individually one item each item and then printing it. So this is basically we call it as a advanced. So it is again inside that it is what you call checking the condition. How is it is checking? So int I inside a. Now, how does it know how many times it has to execute? Because when I say int I colon a, what it does, it first checks how many items are there inside a. So it will execute that many times. So here the condition is that number of items in your a. So if it exceeded, or the number of what you call executing the for loop exceeded your number of items, it will come out of the loop. So the concept is same only, the your what you call basic for loop only, but just in a different way of writing that. So when you are dealing with arrays or collections, you need not to write all those initialization, condition check, and then increment or decrement. Directly you can just put in this way. Okay, so that's all about your for loop. So in our next video series we'll see some other topics. Thanks for watching and stay tuned.